Hello, welcome. This is Real Talk with Anne, and today we continue our conversation on hallmarks of toxic relationships. Today we are going to talk of the cycle of abuse. The cycle of abuse was first published in the year 1979 by Dr. Walker. After doing an extensive research involving 1,500 participants, and she came up with 4 distinct phases of the cycle of abuse, which I want us to discuss today. The first phase is the tension building phase. This is usually the longest phase, and as the name suggests, during this phase, tension continues to build. The next phase is the incident phase. Tension having built, it gives way now to an incident. And so we call this the incident phase. That is the second phase in the cycle of abuse. And then we go to the third phase, which is the reconciliation phase. And this follows the incident. And finally, the fourth phase, which is the calm phase. And this calm phase doesn't last long enough. It gives way to tension building phase again. It is a cycle going round and round and round. And one thing you have to notice that in a cycle of abuse, there are usually 2 players. First, we have the abuser, and 2, we have the victim. These 2 are the main operatives in the cycle of abuse. So let us see how these 2 characters, the abuser and the victim, interact with one another during each of the phases. And I want us to start with the tension building phase. We said this is the longest phase, and during this time, tension starts to build and 2 dynamics set in. 1, the abuser becomes irritable. They become angry or withdrawn. And the victim feels anxious. The victim is trying to troubleshoot. What did I do wrong? Why is he or she behaving this way? The abuser wants to do everything to avoid conflict because they can sense all is not well and conflict may be coming. When this is happening, people these days are not quiet. They do postings on their social media pages. When you see posts like trying to keep everyone up is exhausting. A post like that one just tells you this person is trying to change things. They can sense tension is building, but they are not able to do anything about it. A post like sometimes you feel like whatever you do, it doesn't matter. It is never enough. That's another dynamic telling you that they can sense I have tried and tried, I am not enough. Or something like I wish I could just stop messing things up. That is a self-blame statement that they feel they are the ones messing things up. Now, during this tension building phase, there are 4 behavior patterns that are observed in the abuser. Number 1 is moodiness and irritability. The abuser becomes moody and very irritable over small things, as small as not picking the phone immediately that they called. And let's say, for example, you are in class, a call has been put through you, it keeps ringing, and by the time you make your way out to answer the call has already been dropped. And when you return the call, trying to explain why you are not able to take the call, you find that someone is already very irritated and annoyed with you. Disproportionate response to that which has happened. That is the first phase. And I realized that when you go to the book of Proverbs chapter 29 verse 22, it says an angry person stirs up conflict and a hot-tempered person commits many sins, capturing that very sin. The second behavioral pattern that is seen in the abuser is criticism and blame. The abuser starts criticizing you over things that were not an issue before. They criticize the way you dress. They criticize the people you associate with. And it comes out in statements like, who do you dress for these days? Things like, I have noted you hang out with so and so for too long. They might even say things like, these days you have no time for me. That is criticism and blame. a notable pattern. The third notable pattern of the abuser during the tension building phase is withdrawal of affection and communication. The abuser responds to minor things through passive-aggressive behavior. Passive-aggressive behavior is stonewalling. So these people stop responding to your calls, they stop responding to your texts. And if you're in the same house, then they do not talk to you. If you are in the same college, for instance, and you're doing some things in the lab, you find that they are talking with everyone else, but not you. They just want you to see clearly that they have sidelined you. And what happens is that the victim keeps now blaming themselves and asking, what shall I do to alleviate this thing? What have I done to cause this to happen? Because they do not respond to your bid for connection when you speak to them or wave to them or send them a text. So the victim suffers mental anguish because they do not know what they have done. The fourth behavioral pattern that has been seen among the abusers in this phase is threats. Abusers use threats for two purposes. One, to instill fear. Two, to manipulate their victims. And when they instill fear and manipulate, then what do they achieve? Control and compliance, where compliance means staying put, maintaining status quo, whether you are suffering or not. So what do threats to create fear look like? These threats are in two categories. There's a threat to harm self and there's a threat to harm the victim. When it is a threat to harm self, people speak language like, if you leave me, I am going to commit suicide. And so the victim feels, I will not leave because if I leave, this person may commit suicide. I may be blamed because of this. And they start blaming themselves and maintaining status quo, which is not to live. And so the abuser has managed to maintain status quo and control this person and manipulate them. The other threat is the threat to harm the victim. And they tell the victim, if you dare leave me, I'm going to kill you. I'll get rid of you. And the victim keeps fearing that should they decide to leave, this person will follow them and this person will kill them. So the victim is threatened, they cannot leave. Now, there is the threat to manipulate, because we say threats are two: to instill fear and to manipulate for the purpose of control and maintaining compliance. Now, the threat to manipulate, it can be emotional manipulation, where someone makes you feel that you are inadequate, that if I should leave you, no one would ever want a person like you. And the victim now begins to feel, I may be inadequate, there are things that I'm not doing well, I need to shape up, I need to improve. And what if I told you that the abusers also keep sharing the things that are in their minds through social media? They type, they post messages, and we see these messages all the time, but we've never taken time to think about the kind of thing they are communicating through these messages. Some of them post messages like, some people just love to play victims. That is a message meant to discredit their victim. They are saying, some people love to play victims. This tells you that they have a victim at hand. They are abusing someone. Messages like, tired of people who think they are always right. That is a message that comes from a place where communication has failed. What does that tell you? That they are abusing somebody. If you find someone posting such a thing, know you that this is an abuser in the tension building phase, and they are abusing their victim. They also post messages that minimize their own behavior. Messages like, guess I'm always the bad guy. No matter what I do, it is never appreciated. A message like that one. Or, people have to overreact. And in speech they say, why are you overreacting? Why are you shouting? They minimize your feelings. They minimize your judgment of the matter. I can't be perfect all the time. They post things like those. And we are saying, when you see such conversations, when you see someone posting such things, know you that this is an abuser doing their thing. See what you can do to disrupt them from continuing. And if you are the one doing it, then suspect that you are actually an abuser in the tension building phase and things are not going on well. And of course, our conversation will not be complete without checking out the victim's reactions during this tension building phase. We need to see how the victim reacts, and we need to know these things very clearly so that if you are a victim, you can self-diagnose. Number one, the victim feels as if they are walking on eggshells. They feel the need to monitor their behavior, to modify their behavior to avoid triggering the abuser. And so they keep monitoring themselves. For example, if you've been going to a discussion group, you start avoiding going to discussion groups because he or she said you are hanging out with so and so too much. When you're writing a text message to communicate to this person, you feel like downloading Grammarly to check the grammar that you use and the language and the tone and everything else, because once it gets to their ears, it could be misinterpreted. It could trigger the other person. So you feel like you're walking on eggshells. I fear to say sometimes you hold your breath when you are near the person, lest your breathing may also trigger them. The other thing that is observed is anxiety and self-blame. So the victim internalizes the abuser's behavior, believing it's their fault. And they have thoughts like, maybe if I didn't take too long to answer the call, he or she would not have slapped me. Maybe if I don't spend so much time in Jama or with other friends, we can have peace in this home. So every other time there is an anxiety boiling up in you, and where there is anxiety, there is no peace. So when you realize that you do not have peace and you don't know exactly what you're going through, that is anxiety. Recognize that you're in the first phase. Another behavior that is noted is instituting behavior changes to keep peace. They sacrifice everything. They sacrifice personal needs, the places that you would want to visit, personal freedoms, all this. You find the victim sacrifices all these things to maintain peace. Maybe you had planned with somebody that you will go visiting a friend, and this person tells you, I will not join you. Instead, I want to stay at home. They don't want to go out to maintain peace in their own house. They won't place calls. They will not even call their parents because maybe the last time the person complained, you are calling your parents, your kids too much, and so they stop doing that. So they sacrifice their freedom, they sacrifice the things that they would have done for the sake of maintaining peace. Another thing that is characteristic is reluctance to share. Such people are guarded. They don't just speak up. If you're in a group with them, you'll notice that they are unusually quiet. And when a debate comes up, even debating a news article that touches on the things that they are experiencing, they withdraw. They don't want to share. Why? They fear to be judged. Why? They fear that when they share or speak out, this matter will escalate. It will return to them. Remember, they have been threatened. So they are guarded. They do not want to share. And the overall impact of this thing is that these reactions create a cycle of isolation and fear. The person feels fear, they are isolated. They may think it is normal. We live in a society where even people normalize this thing and they say, relationships are difficult. Relationships are tough to get along with. And this person now, this victim may keep on saying, I will fight for my relationship. So, in the tension building phase, those are the things to look out for. If you find yourself saying things like relationships are very difficult and all the things that we have described here, if you are indeed walking on eggshells, if you are afraid to make a conversation with your friend, then know you that you are in the tension building phase and it is definitely going to boil up to the next phase that we will discuss, the incident phase.